This week I'm building a solid wood drawer from reclaimed pallet wood. Starting with rough stock, I'll show you how I turn free timber into useful furniture components, including how I get the maximum yield from every board without wasting good wood. We'll cover rabbets, dados, wood movements, and the joinery that holds it all together. And because this is real woodworking, there are a few mistakes to fix before the finished drawer slides into the cabinet. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to another week in the workshop. This week is a very short week for kind of life admin reasons. These things happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on how I build solid wood drawers. Now it's different from building drawers out of plywood or bottoms of MDF or whatever you might do, because you have to think about wood movement. You don't want the drawer to kind of fight against itself and pull apart. I'm going to present to you the way I do it now, and it's basically, I've said before, influenced by my 9th grade woodwork teacher, or wood shop for the US crowd. This is the way he taught me to make boxes, and this is the way I'm comfortable making boxes. So yeah, let's do it, and I'll go through kind of step by step how it all works. This is the stock we're going to use. It's about 12 mil thick, made from pallet wood. These ones I think are mostly made from the stretchers, so the thick bits of the pallets. If you haven't seen how I do that, there's plenty of videos back there, and I'll link some below. Yeah, this one in particular is offcuts. So I've sliced one of these down the middle and used parts of it, and then joined the two offcuts together with sticky tape clamps. So I'm really getting into using those. Anyway, first step of the process is to run these guys through the planer and to get them to be smooth, flat, and the same thickness. So let's do that. So that's that step done. It's pretty rough, but for what we're doing, you don't need anything better than that, really. So the next step is, when it comes out of the jig, it's got a good edge and a bad edge. So this good edge is fairly flat, whereas the bad edge has got bumps and holes and stuff in it where I've pushed the clamps into it. So the next step is to go over to the table saw, tidy that up, and give me two parallel sides. So we'll just run it through the table saw and achieve that. All I'm going to do here is run the good edge along the fence, and it's pretty good. And just take a mil off, like 2 mil off the bad edge, flip it over, do the same, back and forth until it's running perfectly against the fence. So it's a jointing process, but it's not necessarily like, it's not as good as a jointer, I guess, but it does the job for this kind of stuff. Gets these two edges parallel. So there you go. So just put it up against the blade, move the fence till it's touching, lock that down, move the board, and then just move the fence a millimetre closer to the blade, and that just takes a skim off the edge. So now if I check this edge that I've just cut against the fence, it's pretty good. There's still a couple of little waves, but it's pretty good. So I'll do the same thing on the first good edge and flip it over and do that edge again, and that'll be it done for these guys. They'll be pretty parallel, and I'll do the same thing again later once I've chopped them up into rough size, giving me shorter pieces against a bigger relative reference, if that makes sense, and you get them pretty darn good without a joiner. So I'll just run through that for both these boards. Now you can see maybe this second board was a bit bowed, in both sides. Neither side was terribly good, so it was harder to do, but that's good enough for now. I can get perpendicular cuts off that that'll be fairly accurate. The next thing I think is probably to make those cuts, or depending, I can't remember the size of the drawer and how much material I have this way. If I can save material by just slicing a chunk off, then I'll do that first before I do any cross cuts. That way I've got a nice long strip that I can just put into the next bit of stock. If that makes sense, just easier to glue it up if it's already full length. So let's have a look at the drawer and see what dimensions we need to get out of this stuff. Next step is to chop these guys up, and I've written the dimensions on the back of the cigarette paper. The drawers are 165 deep, so I would normally just add 10 mil to that. At this point, just kind of roughly breaking down the stock. And 165 is there, 175 is there. So what I'm going to do is I'll rip this at 175, and I need two 321s. So that'll be 330, 330. Two of those, and I need two at 448, 556. So I get three of the parts out of one. So next step is rip these at 175, 10 mil bigger than the height of the drawer. Then we'll cross cut them at 331, 10 mil bigger than, and 458 or 460, and get our four drawer sides. So I'll just run through all that on the tabletop. So easy cuts, just set this to 175 and rip away. I've got 4 4/8 out of that lot, 4 by 4 4/8. So that'll make the next two drawers. The sides are the same length, but the widths are different. So that'll be for, two of them will be for the next drawer. Put them over there. And I've got the two 321s, which are for the front and the back. And then I have this leftover stock. I glued them together like that. They would be 190. So I'll just quickly glue them together. I'll just do that right now. Like that. Flip it around that way just because you've got this big seam. Separate it. That'll be good. That'll be good. There you go. It's not perfect, but for what we're doing here, it's good enough. I'll just stand that over there and I'll be able to make the bottom up after lunch. So the next step is to get all these to finished width, and that's at 165. They're all about 175 now. So yeah, 175. So they need 10 mil taken off. Do the same thing as I did before, alternate sides. So we'll go to say 170 and then 165. So 170 one side, flip them over, 165 on the other side, and they'll end up imperceptibly variable. They'll end up perfectly 165. Perfect is pallet wood perfect. So 170, then 165. Now final length. Draw front and back, draw sides. They're all exactly the same height. They're all square, ready for joinery. And the joinery is going to be like this in that direction. So there's rabbets cut out for the sides to come in, to be pushed into, and on the bottom there's a dado cut for the bottom to slide into, and that's the next thing we'll set up for. That's it, really simple. Potentially it should be the other way around. I'm cutting the rabbets out of the front and back, which means that when you pull on the drawer this way, it's maybe pulling against a weaker joint than it would be if I cut the rabbets out of the sides, potentially. I'm not sure. But aesthetically it looks nicer if there's no joinery seen at the front, even though that's irrelevant because there'll be a drawer face over covering it regardless of which way you do it. So I'd be interested to know if anyone's tested which way is stronger in this kind of joint. Yeah, so the next thing is we'll set up for that. The other thing that I do that's probably of interest is when I set up the rabbet, because the way I make my stock, the thickness can vary. I don't bother planing them to an exact dimension. Is that when I set up the rabbet, so it's coming out of here, I set the rabbet up so that piece left is 6 mil. That way I've got 12 mil front to back, regardless of how thick the board is, if that makes sense. And that way the overall length of the drawer will be this 448 plus 12 mil, so 460, which is where I want it to be. So yeah, that's how I do that. Let's get the dado stack out and set it up. I want to cut the rabbets on the two ends, the front and the back first. And like I said, I want to leave 6 mil material on. The 6 mil is kind of arbitrary. It's just about half of the thickness of these guys. But yeah, that's what I've chosen. So I set this to 6 mil, like so. Then I will, so I want to leave that much material, so I need to know how high. So I'll use this to measure how high up the blades are from the stack. As to how wide they are, I'll use the fence to get that bit right. Bear with me, I'll figure it out. So for the stack itself, it doesn't really matter. But if I go wider, then I need that is by miles. Should be right. Right, let's install that. That'll go in the bath. Now I can set the height with the blocks we got used before. Yeah, that's about right. I have this fence, so I can put that over the blade to adjust how far we go in. The cut in this way is a full width of the material, so that it basically ends up flush. So we can start a little shy and work our way towards that. Then decide which is the front. So I think I'll use this as the front. So front goes up because we're leaving material on the front edge. Need about a mil extra. Next step is to make a dado for the bottom to slide in, and that goes for all 4 pieces. But I want to make it just right, so I'm going to adjust the dado stack to get that spot on. So I'm going to make a groove that the bottom will slide into, so it needs to be just slightly thicker than this material. The bottom will be about this thick, and that's not quite thick enough. I think I just need a couple of spaces, or maybe just one. So I have these shims. This one here is 1/2 mil. That makes it kind of flush. So if I add that one, and that makes it bigger. But I think I might go maybe even a bit chunkier than that. So that's 1/2 mil, because you've got quite a big set of runners it's got to fit in. So I'll add these 2 shims and it'll be about the right size. Doesn't really matter how deep this is, but we might as well keep it symmetrical. So not symmetrical, but the same. We'll just make it the same as it was before. There we go. While I'm set up for this, I'll also do the other 2 side pieces I have, because the cut's the same and then they're finished. And I'm also going to make it the same distance from the bottom. So just use that. Just having to think about order of operations. Before I stick those together, what I might do is chop this up. It's had enough time to dry, and then I can put together a piece that'll make up the bottom. Because if I do it that way, then I have a chance of finishing the whole drawer today. Otherwise, I'll have to wait for the glue to dry overnight. So let's chop this up, make the bottom, then we'll glue that together. hybrid approach. I don't know. I don't know if that's any easier than getting out the sash clamps, but it'll be flat and it's got enough pressure that way for sure. So, job done. Put that away. Spot of sanding before I put the drawer together. So, mask up. Now we just pin it together. Use 15mm, I think they're 6 gauge brad nails. Bit of glue. I use my fence to just give me a stop so it's easy to do, and ping ping, done. Let's go. Line those up like that. If it'll show up on camera, but that's what we're doing. Out of the way. Bit of glue. Even without the glue dry, it's already pretty strong. I'll put some clamps on to make sure it's square and let that dry out. Oh, you know what I've done? I've missed a step. Oh no. I've got to cut off the back at the bottom so I can slide the drawer in. So that'll be more challenging now. Oh well. I've got to go run an errand, that's why I was rushing. Anyway, I'll sort it out after I get back. Okay, back again. That was a bit embarrassing, but that's what happens when you rush. Anyway, moving on. This is drier than the drawer, so let's go ahead and make the bottom for the drawer. Straight-ish. It's about all I'd expected. Supposed to be, I think, what, 309 by 454, but I'll just check. We'll leave it at the original, which is 309 by 454, and see how it fits. So now, I need a straight edge here. More sticky tape. Because I think these edges are too wonky to do the way I normally would. I'm going to move you over here. Now, the edges on this guy are a bit too rough to just rely on the fence to switch back and forth. So I'll get one nice cut with it taped to this. And then, yeah, I'll have one straight edge. .454 by 309. I think it's going to be a little bit big, but we'll see in a minute. And nice and square. So let's take the drawer apart, see if it fits. I think we'll have to trim it down a bit more. But drawers first. I gotta fix the drawer. I gotta. All right. Fix the drawer, then see if it fits. Basically, all I've got to do is open up one end of it. Given there's a big knot in here, I'll chop that off. And just do that on the table saw. So back over there. Start a fair way away from where I want to end up, and then I'll just move the fence once I can see a bit better. About 3mm too long as well. So that fits pretty nicely. As you can see, it's a little bit short, so when I install it, I'll pull this back a bit. I'll even overhang it about 1mm this way, and that way, if this material wants to expand and contract, it has room to go forward. I won't be able to go back, but it can move forward. Won't be glued or anything, I'll just pin it, and we'll call that job done. First it needs a sand. It's very rough and it's hard to sand when it's in there, so quick sand first. I'm using 25mm 6 gauge brads for this because it's got a bit more meat to go through. I think this is 12, so 15s wouldn't leave much. See if I missed. Ooh, all good. All right, draw. Done, and you can see this, maybe you can see, maybe you can't, but this overhangs a little bit on this end to give it a bit more play. This end, let's go see if it fits in the hole. Let's see. Oh, there we go. It's lovely. It's missing its rails, but I just need to make a few more of those. I'm short too because I had to double up for the dog food box. But yeah, it's all good. Thanks for watching, folks. There was a bit more detail in this one than usual. What did you think? Too much? Not enough? Either way, I appreciate you sticking around to the end. As always, last week's video is linked above. If next week's video is ready, it'll be up there too. There's also a playlist with every project, mistake, lesson and build from the channel so far if you'd like to see the journey from the beginning. We're all learning how to build useful, good-looking things without expensive timber or a perfect workshop. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next week.